Hello, this is 9.4 volume of prisms. Please write the title at the top of your paper and then split your paper into 4 sections. Pause the video to do so, and when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. Okay, so on the upper left side of your notes, I want you to write what you see on your screen. Now, I use colors throughout these notes, so I used black and red and blue, so feel free to use different colors. It'll help you figure out the different dimensions. Pause the video, and when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. So we're going to talk about volume, and volume is how much space a solid takes up. For example, it's the amount of sand it would take to fill up this prism here. Okay, so it's a 3-dimensional measurement. Now the formula for volume is right here. V equals capital BH. And notice that the B is a capital letter. And there's a reason why. Because in this formula, the B does not stand for just the base. The capital B stands for the base area of the prism. So when you look at this solid here, the rectangular prism, the capital B stands for the area of this rectangle. So many times on these prisms, you're going to have to find the area of that base. That capital B is not just going to be one length. You're going to have to make sure that you're using the area of the rectangle or the area of the triangle or whatever shape the base is. Now the H stands for the height of the prism, and the height of the prism is the distance between the two bases. So right here in red, I've highlighted this length here. That's going to be the height of this prism. Okay, on the upper right side of your notes, we're going to do our first example, and we're going to draw a rectangular prism. So I want you to first draw a rectangle like this. And here it just takes about 3 lines on my paper. Then we're going to draw another rectangle about the same size as this rectangle, but off to the side, overlapping this one. So I drew a second rectangle like this, but the bottom and the left side, I put them as dashed lines because they're going to be on the inside of my prism. And the next part is we're going to connect the vertices with straight line segments. Except on this inside diagonal here, I made it a little bit dashed as well because it's on the inside. So now I have a rectangular prism, and we're going to find the volume. So let's label our length, width, and height of the prism. Now pause the video if you need to get this drawn out and written out before we continue. Okay, so now what we're going to do to find the volume is we want to start with the formula. So we're going to write V equals capital BH. And now we're going to identify what the base area is. The base area is going to be found by finding the area of this rectangle. So I want you to go ahead and highlight that rectangle or color it in with a blue color. Okay, so what we're going to do is we have to find the area of that rectangle. So start with the formula, and I want you to write the formula down. The base area is going to be base times height because in a rectangle we just take the base and the height and multiply it together. So the base is 4.2 and the height is 3. So now here we're going to write 4.2 times 3, and when you multiply these two things together, it's going to be 12.6. So make sure that you write that it equals 12.6. And now we have to find the height. And remember, the height of the prism is how far apart the two bases are from each other. So here we're going to use this length here as the height, and that's 5 centimeters. So in red, I'm going to write H equals 5. Okay, so now that we have the base area and the height, now we can use our formula to find the volume. And the volume tells us to take the base area and multiply it by the height. So here we're going to write V equals 12.6 times 5. And that's going to be 63 centimeters cubed. So anytime you're finding the volume, our units are always cubic units. So we're going to put little cm and this little 3. That's the units that we use for volume. and you box your answer. Okay, so on the lower left side of your notes, we're going to do volume of a triangular prism. And notice that I've already started drawing a triangle for you at the top. It's a funny looking triangle, kind of slanted. It's a right triangle, and it's scalene. So I want you to try to draw this triangle. Pause the video if you need to do so that you can draw it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to try to draw the same triangle, but at the bottom here, okay? So just directly down at the bottom. So here's my triangle. It's not exactly the same, but it's close. And then the next part that we're going to do is we're going to connect the vertices, okay, of the triangles together. Except on this inside triangle or vertex to this vertex, we're going to make that a dashed line. Okay, so here's our triangular prism. It's not perfect, but it's close enough. And now we're going to label the different lengths. Okay, so now copy this down, pause the video if you need to so that you can make sure you have the right picture before we continue. So we'll start by writing the formula. V equals base area times height. And now we have to find the base area. And so remember that on a triangular prism, the base on a triangular prism is always going to be the two triangles. There's always two bases in a prism. So it's going to be this triangle and this triangle. So this time I'm going to shade the top triangle because I see that two of the sides are labeled for me, but it doesn't matter which triangle you use. So here I used blue for my base area. And remember that in a triangle, it's not just base times height, but it's half times base times height. Okay, so in blue, I'm going to write the base area and the formula. So please include this in your notes so that you see what we're doing, why we have that 1/2, because it's that triangle that we're finding the base area of. And now for the base area, it's not just one number. A lot of kids will try to say, oh, it's 6.2. No, it's half times the base and the height of the triangle. And this right angle here tells you what the base and the height of the triangle are. Because these two lines that make that right angle, that's your base and your height. So it's going to be half times 2 times 6. So then we're going to write all of that out, and that's going to equal 6. And then we have to find the height of the prism, which is the height in between the distance between the two bases. So this right here, that's going to be the height of the prism, and I'm going to outline that in red. So in red, I wrote h equals 9. And now we can find our volume by taking our base area and multiplying it by the height. So let's write that out. So here we have the volume is 6 times 9. When multiplied together, we get 54. And then when we label volume, it's meters cubed. So now we box our answer. Okay, for problem number 3, I want you to draw this hexagon. And this will be the most difficult shape, but just try your best. And then from there, you're going to draw line segments from each vertex. Like this. It's not really from every vertex, it's just from these points. And then we're going to connect it to create like the back of this prism. It's not perfect, but that's okay. And now for this is going to be a hexagonal prism. So this here is going to be our hexagon, which is our base, and the back base, which you can't really see, that's also going to be another hexagon. So now go ahead and fill in all the details that you see on your screen. And as you guys are doing this, listen to the secret code word. The secret code word is going to be the American flag. So just write the 2 words American flag on the side. That'll be your movie clue. Okay, so we're going to find the volume of this prism. And the nice thing about this is you're given the base area. It already is labeled with a capital B. And it's already labeled like an area, inches squared. So we're going to start with our formula. V equals base area times height. And then we're going to fill in the numbers that are given to us. So we have 48 for the base area, and then 11 is the height of our prism. It's this part right here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and outline that in red. Okay. So now we just multiply these two numbers, and that will be our volume. So we get 528 inches cubed. Remember, we always want to label volume as a cubic measurement. We box our answer. And that's all for your notes. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.